We cannot bring all of our higher elevated being and put it on a foundation system that can't hold it. Hi, everybody. This is Mary Reed, and I'm really excited to share something with you that came up in my weekly gathering with my community on Sunday. And people have mentioned that everything I was talking about is related to some common phrases that we know, like together we stand, divided we fall. There's a passage in the Bible in Matthew, evidently 12:25, that says every kingdom that is divided within itself will be in ruin, or every household or city divided within itself will not stand. So that's part of what's happening in our world, but I'm going to talk about in this video why that is and what's causing that. And it's not the cities or the kingdoms, if you will, that themselves that are collapsing. It is the systems that divide us. The systems that foster division, that sustain division. It's not just in our world, it's also within us, the old systems within us. So that's what we're going to talk about here. And in this video, there's about 10 minutes of talking about the context of this. And then there's a really great meditation that my guides Consensus do to take everybody more deeply into this experientially. So I hope you enjoy. A lot of people in their consultations this past week and in emails this past week and just passing people on the street in the past week are really finding themselves in a bit of a state of shock in lots of different ways. Things that are going on in our country, things that are going on with them personally, things that are going on with their body, things that are going on with their relationship. It's just all of this kinds of stuff. And three of my colleagues, my peers in the spiritual teaching world, in this past week, I've had meetings with to talk about the way that what we do, the way that things are changing in that, and the people were looking for guidance on like how to adjust, because what they'd been doing for a long time, or the way that they were trying to set things up, wasn't working. And we were talking about how the whole model of spiritual service, like all the videos on YouTube and all of the offerings and the websites and, spiritual fairs and all these kinds of things, how something just isn't resonating. And something feels like it's just not aligned somehow again and again and again, particularly right now. It has come up several times in the consultations, and it came up in all of the meetings, and then it came up again in my meditations here about that we really need to understand what's happening, what's at play. We've been talking about this for a long time, that the foundations of the old were going to have to fall away, that things are dissolving and things are shifting and the new is coming, and that it was going to get chaotic or whatever. And now we're in the throes of that chaos going, oh, wait, what? What in the world and in us? For example, with a spiritual teaching, like in my world, you all know when you go on YouTube and you look for teachings or whatever, you have these really dramatic title cards and dramatic, faces. And somebody literally asked me today, what did Next Level Soul do to your face in the title card? Because there's something I'm going like this, and it's the dramatic stuff. And then they have a title that fits an algorithm. We're being driven by the algorithms, and we're being driven by the drama bait, right? You all know this. You can look on all of these things. Suzanne Giesman literally called out Alex Ferrari on the way that he dramatizes stuff. And he admitted, look, if I just said, I'm having a nice conversation with Suzanne Giesman, people aren't going to tune in. But if I have some kind of, bait, they'll click on it. We're being guided by these algorithms, which means that it's teaching us to respond to those. Here's what you need to know before it's too late. Here's the predictions coming and all this sort of stuff. And people like me, I have a nice interview with somebody, and then they put up some ultra dramatic picture of me and some title, and then the title's not related to what I was talking about, or, these kinds of things. So Two of the people who wanted to talk about business wanted to talk about how they do it and they're not comfortable doing it. That was just the tip of the iceberg for the things that, they're just looking at what the world tells us how to do it and how it's not aligned with the feeling of what they want to do. Ultimately, what all of those conversations with my colleagues were coming down to is the framework that's available for bringing our presence, our work into won't hold us. It's not aligned. So what is it that is aligned for us? And how do we ourselves just create whatever feels right for us, whatever. So I do this, y'all know this, I do this my own way in my own videos. I don't have a lot of fancy stuff. I just, it's very simple. But that's an example, that's a personal example of what's happening right now in ways that we're trying to figure out how to bring some approach or presence and what's the foundation we put it upon. This is what's happening in the collective. This is why when we look out at our world today and everybody's panicking about all of the things that are going away, our rights are going away, these are going away, they've stripped this away, they've stripped that away, and all this sort of stuff, it's because we cannot bring all of our higher elevated being and put it on a foundation system that can't hold it. You see, this is what we've been trying to do. We just keep bringing in these more rights and more understandings and more freedom and all this sort of stuff. And we've just piled it upon foundations that were not going to be able to bear that. They weren't foundations built on the same principles, the same truth, the same love, right? They were built on foundations of fear, of oppression, separation consciousness. So we can't bring unitive life and put it on separation consciousness and expect everything to stay the same. You see, we're not losing all of the progress that we've made. We're not losing our freedoms. Our passion, our presence is authentic and staying, but it has to come about in a way that can support it, that it itself becomes the foundations upon which everything else is built. The same is happening within us. Same exact thing. You all know this, all this higher energy that's coming in, and then soaking in, and it can't soak into an old foundation, an old framework that can't hold it, that can't sustain it. Many of you who have, and myself, I put myself in this as well, many of you who have felt your body going through these big changes or whatever, come out on that other end really feeling quite different. Or as you're going through it, you just knows that something is just different than it has been. And it is different than it has been. Remember, back in December, with all of these activations, all the things getting activated. And as I'm talking about this now, my head is going whoosh, like this. One of those things was all the love that has ever been. Remember this? All the love that has ever been. Think about that influence on us. Think about that influence within us, around us. Think about that influence in absolutely everything, all the love that has ever been, affecting the old foundations within us and within our world. What a powerful transformative activation. And then remember, in the multidimensional activations with Corrine, those multidimensional activations means that things are going to break apart. Things are going to open, right? If light comes into an intersection, a multidimensional intersection, it opens everything, but that opening is a destruction of the constriction. You see, it's all changing. The new is this high energy unit of consciousness presence, this flow, this movement, this momentum. It cannot be held by the old foundations. Those old foundations are not only not strong enough, they're not the right sort of structure. The structures, those patterns, the concretized patterns of oppression and judgment Separation, separation, separation. In order to just like we can just understand this, in order to dissolve all those walls, there has to be a destructive process. Make sense? We're not losing anything. We're not losing anything. It just simply cannot be contained in the same old way, within the same old containers, individually or collectively. Now, what does that look like on the other end? We don't know. We don't know. That's the whole point, is that none of us have known systemic infrastructures that can support unitive being, that can support the higher consciousness. We don't know what that looks like, but we know that it's happening in greatly unexpected ways simply by things like the telepathy tapes, by the autistic, non-speaking kids that are now waking so many people up. Did anybody strategize that one? No. You see, it's coming from lots of different ways from the inside. They can't fit in a system that tried to oppress them. The education system that said, no, they can't communicate like that. That's not allowed. Oh, they're not in there. Oh, they're not intelligent. Oh, they'll never be, educated, right? No, they can't fit in the same old system. It's laughable, their scale of potential and capabilities trying to fit into an education system that oppressed them, that limited them dramatically. The scale of the difference is profound. It's just profound. And I will say again, this is what's happening within us, in our framework, in the framework that we've been walking through life with. It has to change. Thus, the reason so many people are experiencing the body issues. Not just the body issues, the relationship issues, the home issues, the job issues, the professional life issues. All of it comes into play. All of it is affected. Community models, all of it's affected. Okay, I feel so much flowing here. Let me just feel if there's anything more that wants to be said. Yeah. In the times that we're in, when we go to YouTube and we see these dramatic things, or the things trying to sort of bait people into not only clicking on the video, but they're being baited to a certain way of thinking, right? That they look then for that hook. And this is like, getting us conditioned to pay attention to things in that way, right? This is why they use those ultra dramatic title cards, is because the algorithms say they work. And the more they work, the more they do it. The more they do it, the better they work, right? So number one, pay attention to how you're being baited, to what feeds you in terms of what you look for. Do you look for the drama? Be honest with yourself. Do you look for the drama when you go to YouTube? Are you looking for the predictions of the chaos that's coming? Are you looking for what's going to happen with blah, blah, blah policy, or, whatever? Be honest with yourself, and then just take responsibility. Is this how I want to do it? Is this the model I want to feed, that I want to invest in, that I want to say and send the message, oh, this is working, give me more. This is what we do with our actions, which isn't to say that there aren't great videos that have those title cards on them, but just be aware of what's really motivating you. Okay? The same thing goes with news. There's a lot of drama flashing everywhere in the news these days. Know what you're being guided by, what you're being led by, what you're being tempted by. Take notice of that. And if you continually find yourself baited by that drama, you know that that's the old foundation. It's calling you into support the old foundations of how things always operated in that framework of drama and fear, the fear baiting. Okay, we're ready. Let's go in. Let's go in and feel the magnificence here. Let's take a moment and just let everything that's been said here just begin to settle. It's all illuminated in the field. It's all in our knowing, it's all in our being. Notice how we said it's all in our knowing. It's all in our being. Let's really find our attention in the here and now. Take a nice, good deep breath in. Beautiful. And a nice, relaxing breath out. Really feel everything within settling, sinking in, relaxing. Now we want to point you specifically to this feeling this evening of sinking in, relaxing in, as though we are settling this unitive feeling into the foundational space, the depths of our being, the depths of our awareness, the depths of our sensing. Let's take another good deep breath in. Again, just letting everything, letting the breath itself guide us into a deeper state, letting everything begin to feel this union, this volume and amplification of being here together. Now, as we're feeling the sensation of sinking in, of things settling in, of things really soaking in deep, deep, deep into the depths here, let us feel into our intention. What is our intention? Always but to be of service, to be the very presence of service itself, for ourselves, for each other, for the collective, all of the divine family. We come into union, the intention to be a presence of love in union. Consensus here with it through and as all of us. And as we allow that energy, that intention to seep in, deep into foundational layers or levels of our being, of our collective being, we are allowing all the love that has ever been to be absorbed, to find ever more subtle entry into every bit of consciousness, individual, collective. What kind of framework built by separation mindset, patterns that promote and sustain separation, a house built of separation, the scaffolding patterns of separation? What framework created by that can hold. The unitive momentum, the unitive tidal wave of all the love that has ever been. There is nothing strong enough to separate us. What we once thought of as these very hardy concrete walls become like paper. What we once thought of as concrete floors to stand upon, the foundations to build upon, become porous like a sponge, just absorbing and absorbing and absorbing all of this, all the love that has ever been. In our own lives, in relationships and dynamics of relationships built on conflict, built on power structures, built on hierarchy and achieving, built on ideas of worthiness, better than. What of any of that? What of any of that can sustain the flow of the unitive being of all the love that has ever been? There is nothing unaffected by the changes at play now. The multidimensional activations are simply opening up all the spaces that had been constricted. So we cannot sustain a presence in constriction. It will not feel good. It will bring about ever so much struggle, strife, sickness, pain, suffering, challenge, all of the old experiences, the separation consciousness manifestations of separation ideology, of the pain of separation. And that pain may get very intense as it tries to withstand ever greater flow, ever greater influx of these higher energies until finally it must collapse. So if you find yourself in the height of controversy, the height of strife, the height of tension and conflict, it's because a wall of separation is about to yield. We want to be very clear here. all the walls are coming down. Think about within your own being all these various little patterns, these walls that have been created like a maze to maneuver through within your system, managing being in a world of separation consciousness. I think about as those walls within come down, one by one, and then in an avalanche, how much greater flow you have within you, how much more you can take in, how very different you feel, how much more available you are. In your home, in your work, in your community, in your own sense of being. How much more available you are to the world, to the great potential at hand in the world. And at the same time, think about what you radiate. Think about what you offer. Think about the energy state that you are. Think about your impact. You will find yourself much more capable of not only standing in your truth, but discerning what that truth is without having to work at it, to constantly be in an internal flashlight looking around for it, but to simply know it, feel it, because it is ever more flowing and present within you. It's ever more available to you in your awareness. It is ever more the sense of what is aware as you. And as we stand in that truth, unobstructed in that truth, we also begin to see the unobstructed view of the world, of what's really happening. Beyond what we're being told to look at or how we're being told to see it. Within you, you know. Within our own being and within our world, nothing of the divine that we have come to know, come to herald, come to celebrate, come to foster, none of it, none of the divine qualities of being, none of it is going away. We are living proof of that. Look around you. Daily, you will find evidence. We do not fit into any old framework. It cannot hold us. Think about where you are now in your life. The scale of your sense of being, the scale of your wonder and awe, and perhaps your capabilities and connections. And think about how you were 30 years ago. Could all that you are now have been contained within that old being, that old identity, that old limited sense of self? No. There is expansion beyond imagination at hand here. Multi-dimensionally. You will have a far easier and more fun time on this journey, staying open to all of the potential at hand here, welcoming it, being curious about it, looking for it to celebrate, feeling that within you and within the world. We're going to focus for a moment on the crown chakra. Just rest your awareness at that sacred spot at the top of the head. In a moment, we're going to take a breath in through that crown chakra, like we're sucking air or light in through that chakra, and we're going to take it right down the central channel, out the root, and into earth with such ease. Focus on that crown. Take a nice, good, deep breath in. All the way down through the root into earth. All the love that has ever been is flowing in this very moment. We are inseparable from it. We are part and parcel of it. We are the portal for it and the substance itself. All the love that has ever been. We speak this for everything here to feel it, to remember it, to know its inclusion and its nature, to be in a moment of reconnection, of remembrance and reclamation here. Everything that is falling away is actually falling into its truth. We are the welcome, we are the embrace, we are the celebration. Now, it has been said many different times, many different ways, that rest, care for the body is very important here. And we want to reiterate this. We're not talking about a nice 1-hour nap one afternoon. We're talking about a deep intention to be gentle, to be listening and following the internal guidance, however long it takes, however many times it takes, to really allow everything at the micro levels, at the deepest micro levels, to stop all the effort, to end all the resistance, to let go at the deepest levels that allows for exquisitely intricate integration, absorption, union. And what is it that is integrating and absorbing and uniting, but all the love that has ever been? Let's take a moment here to feel into our heart. Focus on the feeling here of the whole entire gorgeous field, the intricate togetherness of our being here. And breathe it into your beautiful heart. Now just radiate it right back out. We invite you to stay in the depths, this beautiful, unitive, relaxed feeling here, this relaxed state together. Stay in your awareness of all of this. Take another good deep breath in. Let that breath begin to orient you back into your body, still staying in that deep, relaxed, united state. Just ever so gradually begin to become aware of your body in the chair or bed where you're sitting. Staying in the deep, relaxed, connected state. Aware of the room that you're in, your body in that space. You can touch your fingers to your thumbs. Staying in that beautiful deep state, a good stretch. When you're ready, you can open your eyes.